Hi everyone, and welcome to this video on the sine rule. In this video, we're going to be looking at working out the length of a side using the sine rule and how we can apply it to exam questions. We're going to be covering angles in a different video and also the cosine rule in a different video. In this video, we're just going to be looking at working out the length of a side using the sine rule. Okay. So basically we have this formula here and it may seem complicated, however it's really not. It's a really easy formula to sort of learn, and it's not that difficult to use as well. Okay, now first of all I'm going to get straight into sort of an exam question and how we can tackle this exam question. So basically with the sine rule we can't apply normal trigonometry to it. How would we use SOHCAHTOA? That only applies to right angle triangles. However, in this case, there is no right angle, therefore we cannot apply SOHCAHTOA. Okay, as you can see, we have different angles here. Therefore, if we have a triangle that doesn't have a right angle, we would either be using the sine rule or the cosine rule. Okay, and we will decide when to use what in a later video. But in this video, we're just going to be looking at how we can work out the length of a side using the sine rule. Now, the first step with any question, such as this one, is that you need to label your corners and your sides. Okay, it doesn't matter how you label them, but there's just one key fact that you need to remember. Okay, so we're going to label each of these three corners A, B, and C. It doesn't matter which order you do it, but just remember you need to label them A, B, and C. And that's because the formula has A, B, and C. Realistically, you could label them whatever letter you want, but you will have to, it will be a bit more confusing if you don't quite understand the sine rule. So for the time being, just label the corners A, B, and C. It doesn't matter which corner is A, which corner is B, and which corner is C. I'm just going to label this one as A, this one as B, and this one as C. Okay. Now the next step, and just a point to add there, make sure that the labels that you've added are all in capitals. Okay, so A, B, and C. Now the next step is that you need to label your sides. Okay, and your sides should be labeled in lowercase letters. Okay, so if we have a capital A over here, the side which is opposite it is gonna have a lowercase a. Okay, if we label this one as B, the side which is opposite it is going to be labeled lowercase b. And if we've labeled this capital C, the side which is opposite it is going to be labeled lowercase c, just like that. Now, as you can see from the formula, we have a lowercase letters and we have uppercase letters. Okay. Now, as you can see, there are three fractions in this formula: A over sine A, B over sine B, and C over sine C. But we only need two of those fractions. Okay. Now, if we look back at this question, which letters do we have no information at all? We don't know anything about the letter and they are completely irrelevant to the question. As you can see, A, we have an angle, and A is X, so we need A. We definitely need A because we know one of the angles and we need to work out the lowercase a. C, we definitely need C because there's an angle and there's a side. Okay, but we don't need B because we don't know anything about B. We don't know the length of the side of B and we don't even know the angle of B. Okay, so we're just gonna cross out B. We don't need B anymore. Okay, and we're gonna cross out B from our formula as well. Okay, we don't need it. That leaves us with A over sine A equals C over sine C. Okay, now all we need to do now is substitute in values. Okay, what's A? Lowercase a? Lowercase a is X, so we've just got X there. Sine A, so sine capital A is 38 degrees, so it's going to be over sine 38, and that's equal to C. C is 13 centimeters, and that's divided by sine capital C, which is 100. Just bear in mind that your angles should always be marked with a capital letter. So it's going to be sine 100. Okay, now all you need to do here is rearrange. Okay, we want x by itself on one side. However, at the moment, x is being divided by sine 38. So to get rid of something, you need to do the opposite. Okay, so if we're adding, we need to subtract. If we're multiplying, we need to divide. Okay, so at the moment, x is being divided by sine 38. So to get rid of it, we need to do the opposite, which means we need to multiply sine 38. So we need to multiply by sine 38 to get x by itself. And whatever we do to this side, we must do to this side. So we need to multiply by sine 38 on this side as well. Now, because we've multiplied by sine 38, we've got rid of this sine 38 because we've done the opposite. That will leave x by itself. So x will be equal to 13 over sine 100 multiplied by sine 38. Okay, and this you can just type it to your calculator. So we've got 13 over sine 100 multiplied by sine 38. Okay, and that's going to give us an answer of 8.127067597. Okay, and the question does say give your answer to one decimal place, so that's going to be 8.1 centimeters to one decimal place. Okay, so just remember the key rules. Look at this formula. It's really easy to learn, so just make sure you're familiar with it. When you're given the question, label your sides and label your angles. Always remember that the angles should be labeled as capital A, B, and C, and the sides should be labeled as lowercase a, B, and C. Okay, and just remember that each of them are opposite each other. So capital A is opposite lowercase a, capital B is opposite lowercase b, and capital C is opposite lowercase c. And then look at your image. Which letters do you not need? Okay, so as you could see in this scenario, we need A because A is the x that we're trying to work out, and A is an angle we've been given. We need C because C, we're given the angle and the side. However, B has no relevance in this point because we don't know the angle of B and we don't know the side of B. So we just cross out B. We cross out B from our image, and we also cross out B from our formula. Okay, so we're left with A over sine A equals C over sine C, and we know all those values. We can just plug them into this equation to get something like this, and then we rearrange to get x the subject of the formula. Okay, and that means that you do the opposite to get rid of it, and whatever you do to one side, you do to the other side. Okay, I do have another question, which is this question here. It's the same principle. So pause the video, have a go at it. I'm going to go through the answers now. Okay, so how would we tackle this question? It says work out the length of BC. BC means B to C, which means this side. We need to work out x. And it says give your answer to 3 significant figures. Okay, so first of all, label our corners with capital letters. They've already been labeled for us, A, B, and C. Now the side, which is opposite the corner, is labeled the lowercase form of that letter. Okay, so this is capital A, so the side opposite it is going to be lowercase a. This is capital B, so the side opposite it is going to be lowercase b. This is capital C, so the side opposite it is going to be lowercase c, just like that. Okay, now which letter can we cross out? So we've got capital A and lowercase a. We know the angle and A is an X, so we have to keep A. B, we don't know the angle and we don't know the side, so B is completely irrelevant in this case. C, we know the angle, and C, we know the side. Okay, so we don't need B because we don't know the angle and we don't need the side. So we're going to cross out B. Okay, and we're going to cross out B from the formula again. Okay, so now we're just going to use this formula, which is A over sine A equals C over sine C. Okay, what's A? A is X, so we've got X over sine A, which is capital A, which is 42 degrees, so sine 42, and that's equal to C over sine C. Now lowercase c is 5 meters, so it's just going to be equal to 5 over sine capital C, which is 53. So that's sine 53. Now all we're going to do here is rearrange. Again, we want x by itself. At the moment it's being divided by sine 42. So in order to get it by itself, we need to do the opposite. And remember, the opposite of adding is subtracting, and the opposite of multiplying is dividing. Okay, so in order to get this divide by sine 42 out of our way and to get x by itself, we're going to multiply by sine 42, and whatever we do to one side we must do to the other side. So we're going to multiply this by sine 42 as well. Now that's going to get rid of the sine 42 here because we were dividing here, and because we've multiplied it by sine 42, we've got rid of it. Okay, and that's going to leave x by itself. So we're going to have x equals 5 over sine 53 multiplied by sine 42. Okay, and this we can just type into our calculator. So we've got 5 over sine 53 multiplied by sine 42, and that's going to give us an answer of 4.189211461. And the question does say to 3 significant figures. So we're going to count the significant figures: 1, 2, 3. The number after that rounds up, so this is going to be 4.19 meters. Okay, and that's how you use the sine rule. Okay, so step 1, label sides. Step 2, cross out a letter which is not needed. And then after that we just need to plug in our values. So plug in values into equation, which is this equation here, and then step 4 is going to be rearrange to find x. Okay, and that's basically how you work out the length of a side using the sine rule. And that is it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you liked it. And just before you go, please make sure you subscribe and hit the like button.